Hi lovelies, Lauren here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and I'm so happy to be back on the mat practicing with you this week. And today I'm bringing you a hamstring mobility sequence. So this is going to be great for those of you with tighter hamstrings. And this was something that was requested over on Instagram earlier this week and it's actually worked out quite well because my hamstrings are feeling pretty tight today. But I just wanted to talk about really quickly why we might have tight hamstrings. So you might be a runner, so it might be the case of like the thigh bone kind of impacting into the hip as you run, therefore the muscles kind of tighten. Or it might be due to kind of a weakness, and it might be a weakness in the hamstrings themselves, again, so the muscles are tightening, or it might be due to a weakness elsewhere in the body and therefore the muscles are kind of overcompensating for that weakness. So that's just something to be a little bit aware of. So that tightness may not be kind of localized to this specific area. There might be something else we need to look at as well. And we're going to be focusing not only on kind of lengthening the hamstrings, we're going to be doing a little bit of strengthening as well. Because in yoga, we very much tend to focus on the stretching part. Very rarely do we focus on the strength of the hamstrings. And it's only kind of in recent years where people have kind of caught on to that. So we're going to not just kind of be working on the hamstrings themselves, we're going to be looking at kind of the whole posterior chain, the whole back body, and see if we can strengthen that, especially our glutes as well. So hopefully that sounds okay. You might want a little bit of wall space today, just if you need a little bit more support in some of the postures, but other than that, you just need your lovely selves. And we're going to start just by coming into a forward fold. So how you would normally come into a forward fold, you might do a nice big stretch up, and then coming all the way down. Now, as you come down, I want you to think about where you're folding from. So you can have a little bend in the knees here. And actually, I'm going to take my jumper off straight away so we can see what's happening here. Okay. So as I say, just noticing where you're folding from. So you might be like here trying to touch your toes and kind of just being like, ew, this is really tricky. That's okay. Just kind of know where you're at. Set a kind of marker. So if you bring your fingertips to your shins, notice how far they're coming down the legs, or even if you're touching your thighs here, notice where you're at. Okay. And let's just hold for a breath where you are. Exhale. And then let's simply come all the way up and we can take a nice little roll up through the spine, bend the knees, tuck in the tailbone, rolling those shoulders back and down, okay? Now we're going to come into a little bit of a hip hinge. So rather, as most of us tend to do, rather than folding from our mid-back, which is what's causing this, I want you to think about hinging from your hips. So maybe bring your hands towards your hips for me and take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine literally the body folding in half from your hips. So you might notice the weight come a little bit more into your toes. And again, bend in the knees here, especially if you've got a little bit of hypermobility there. And maybe you come about halfway, okay? Maybe this is enough for you. You might then be able to take the fingertips a little bit further. Let's just take a breath here. Let's just take a breath out. And we're going to do that a couple of times. So bring our hands towards our hips, bend the knees as you rise. You can roll up through the spine here if that's a little bit better for you. Inhale, come up. Exhale again, we hinge. Bend in the knees as you go. So by bending the knees, we're protecting the hamstrings as we come into a little bit of a stretch. Beautiful. Okay, let the inhale to come up. And let the exhale to come down. Beautiful. Okay. Now, something else you can do with these little hip hinges is actually adding a little bit of a weight. So as you're simply folding down here, maybe you've got a couple of really light dumbbells, nothing too heavy, or maybe you've got the kettlebell. And again, you're just hinging at the hip, coming down only about halfway. You can gently come all the way back up, okay? So that's another thing you can do as well if you have got weight to hand. We're going to add in an extra little layer. So you're going to ground down through your right foot. And I just want you to hover your left foot away from the ground. So it's almost kind of like you're pulling that thigh bone into the hip socket, but keeping the body nice and tall as best as we can. Hands towards our hips, take a breath in. Little softness in that right knee. And again, we hinge at our hips. And just see what you notice here. You might notice that kind of right hamstring activate slightly here. Beautiful. Inhale again, we come up. Keep that left leg lifted the entire time. Exhale, let's work our way down. Beautiful, well done everyone. Inhale, let's come back up. Keeping that lovely long spine as best as we can. Exhale, coming on down. You might notice the hamstring get a little bit crampy around here, especially if we're not used to using our hamstrings in this way. Let's go one more time. Exhale, let's come on down. And inhale, let's come all the way back up. Beautiful, gently place that left foot down. Give the legs a good old shake. Okay, fabulous. Come on to the other side, ground down through the left foot. Make sure you're really spreading those toes down and towards the mat. And again, we're just going to hover the right leg. And again, I'll turn this way so you can still see what's happening here. So hovering the right foot. And let's take a breath in. Exhale, we hinge. Soften in that left knee as you go. Fabulous, well done. And the trick is to do this nice slow. And same as what I said before, if you wanted to add a little bit of a weight in here, you absolutely can do. It doesn't have to be much of a weight. Something perhaps maybe 2 kilograms is enough. Lovely, exhale, let's go again. Maybe feeling that little bit of a cramping sensation going on here. And just take note, trying to, as best you can, as you hinge at the hips, try not to send this right leg back. Still bring it in line with the left leg as best as you can. This is our final time, breath in. Beautiful, rising back up. Okay, gently placing that right foot down, and again, have a good old shake off of the legs there, okay? If you're using a mat today, come to stand at the top of your mat now for me. Feet are hip distance apart, toes are spread, standing nice and tall. Let's take a big reach up, inhale. As we exhale again, we separate the palms. Find that hip hinge again here. So hinging at your hips, pouring the heart down. Bend the knees, if that feels better to you. And come back into the standing forward fold. And again, check in where you are now. So you might be in a similar place to where you were before. If you've got that rounded spine again, maybe you take a moment to come back up. Find that hip hinge again. Then you go, okay? Fabulous. Coming into our forward fold. Let's take a moment here. Big breath in. Big breath out. Bend in the knees as much as you need to then plant the palms down towards the mat. And you're just going to take a nice little step back, 1 foot at a time. Let's come straight on back to a downward facing dog. Okay. Now, a little note for a downward facing dog. Quite often we focus on lengthening the legs, getting the heels down. We're like, yes, my heels are down. But very often we feel that then compromise our spine. We have this kind of rounded back. So we're kind of in an N shape rather than an upside down V shape. So think about bending the knees and then pressing the belly back to your thighs. So again, still getting that nice stretch down through the back of the legs and still getting that nice long spine here. Pressing down through the fingertips, and we can shake the head and nod the head to make sure we're releasing through the back of the neck. Let's bring in a little pedaling motion through our feet. So you're going to see if you can lengthen the right leg. You might not lengthen the entire way. Maybe that right heel comes down towards the mat, maybe it doesn't. But really sink into this left knee. And as you sink into this left knee, kind of rotate inwards. So you're going to rotate your left shoulder in slightly. See if we can get that stretch really down the back of the right leg. Also maybe slightly down the outside of the right leg here. Take an inhale to change. Bend back into both knees. And as you exhale, press the left heel away, sink into the right knee, internally rotate that right shoulder. Fabulous, well done. Come back through center, inhale. Exhale, bend the left leg. Inhale. And exhale, bend the right leg. Fabulous, well done. Okay, let's inhale, come back through center, your variation of down dog, whether that's bent legs or straight. Let's ground down through the left foot. Inhale, send right heel to the sky. Now, as you send that right heel up, it's going to be very tempting to open out into that right hip, therefore taking the right leg higher. So it kind of feels like, yay, my right leg is nice and high. But what that's doing, again, is compromising in our lower spine. And we're not getting that stretch down the hamstrings. So I want you to rotate that right hip down so the toes, right toes still point down towards the mat. And we can still feel that stretch down the left hamstring. Ooh, yikes. Take a breath in. Exhale, squeeze right knee in towards the chest. Gaze in between your hands and softly see if we can step that right foot there. If the right foot doesn't comfortably get there, maybe it comes about halfway, we can then take hold of the right ankle, guide it that little bit further forward, okay? Let's pop this left knee down. Let's come through a little bit of a gentle low lunge. So we can have a little wiggle, a little shimmy, a little shake here. Let's untuck those left toes. You might want to walk those right toes a little bit further away, creating more space for the hips to kind of sink down and lower here. If this feels like you need a little bit more space, you need a little bit more height, you can bring a block underneath the hands to lift the ground up to you a little bit slightly. Okay, so always ways we can modify here. Let's take one more breath. And as we exhale, we're going to send hips back towards level with this left knee. And maybe we can peel those right toes away from that up to the sky. Keep a bend in this right knee here. So again, we're protecting this hamstring as we lengthen it without hyperextending in the knee. Okay, so keep a bend in the knee. As I exhale, let's sink back into the knee, sink the hips forward and down. Inhale, let's come into the stretch. Exhale, let's bend. Inhale, we stretch. Exhale, we bend. Inhale, let's stretch. This time we're going to hold here for a few moments. So again, we've still got this bend in the right knee, but I want you to really think about driving right heel down in towards the mat as much as you can. So really, you might almost be kind of shaking that hamstring because you're pushing that right heel down with so much force. And then thinking about pulling right hip back slightly. You might even bring your right hand to your right hip to kind of guide it back, therefore bringing the left hip forwards. Yeah? Okay. And again, let's hold here. Stay with the breath. Let's take 3 breaths here. Inhale for 1. Exhale. Inhale for 2. Exhale. Inhale for 3. And exhale. Okay. Let's bend back into the right knee, plant the palms down, tuck the left toes under, lift in the left knee, little runner's lunge here, so sinking the hips forwards and down. And then we're going to plant down through the palms, step right foot straight on back, downward facing dog. Fabulous. Okay, let's take a breath in here. Breath out. Remember to bend those knees should you wish. Let's come onto the other side. Ground down through the right heel. Inhale, left heel to the sky. And again, hips are square here. So really just notice whether you're opening out into the hip and pointing those left toes out to the sky. See if we can correct that by pointing those left toes down towards the mat. Breath in. Exhale, left knee in towards the chest, gazing in between the hands. And again, softly stepping that foot forwards, guide it there if you need to. Pop the right knee down, untuck those right toes, and again, just have a few moments to kind of wiggle around here, sinking those hips forwards and down. Okay. Use a couple of blocks again if you prefer. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Lovely. Let's come into that half split stretch. So we're going to again send hips back level with the right knee. Maybe we can peel those left toes back towards the face, keeping a bend in the right knee. Breath in here. Exhale, sink. Bend back into the left knee. Inhale, you pull back. Exhale, sink. Inhale, pull back. Couple more times. Exhale, sink. Inhale, pull back. Exhale, sink. And then again, let's hold this last one. Inhaling, pulling back. Pressing left heel down as much as you can. So much force there. Same time, we're sending left hip back, right hip forward. So again, keeping the hips equal. And you might feel that down the hamstring. Hopefully you are feeling it down the hamstring. You might also feel it in the calf muscle as well here. Okay? Fabulous. 2 more breaths here. Big breath in. Big breath out. 1 more big breath in. And a big breath out. Okay. Let's bend back into the left knee. Plant down through the palms, tuck right toes under, lift the right knee, runner's lunge. And then go ahead, step left foot all the way back, downward facing dog. Bring back a little pedaling motion out through the feet, bending one knee and then the other. Take a breath. Take an exhale. Now we're going to lift the right heel to sky again. So ground down through the left foot. Inhale, right heel lifts, hips are square. Exhale, right knee in towards the chest. Again, we're going to softly step it forwards in between the hands. And we're also, again, going to drop that back knee, but this time we're going to keep those back toes tucked. So again, a little bit of kind of sinking the hips forwards and down. There's going to be a couple of options with this coming up here. So bear with, take a breath in. Now as you exhale, you're going to push down through both feet. See if we can lift the back knee, lengthen both legs. Now, this, if we've got really tight hamstrings and perhaps slightly less open bodies today, this is going to feel like a real challenge. So if you're here, great. Just think about pulling the right hip back, left hip forward. Keep a little micro bend in that right knee. You're still getting that lovely stretch. But if we need a little bit more height, see if we can pop that back knee back down. Find a couple of blocks maybe, framing that right foot. And it's the same again, we push down through the blocks, push down through the feet. We lift, we lengthen both legs. Alternatively, this is where the wall comes in, so you might need to have a little shimmy further forwards, closer to the wall. Okay, you start from your low lunge, you push down through both feet, you lift the chest as well, bring your hands to the wall, and that creates that lovely long spine. So you've got this nice long line from your tailbone to the crown of the head. Take a breath. As we exhale, we gently lower back down. Okay, so you've got kind of three options for this. Either you're kind of coming straight up, straight down, you're using the blocks, or you're using the wall. Okay, and similar to what we did when we were working in between low lunge and half split stretch, sorry, we're going to do the same again here. So breath in, exhale, push down through the feet, lift the hips, keep the hips square, so right hip back, left hip forward, sink it down. Exhale, you lift. Sink it down. And we lift. That back heel remains lifted the entire time here. Sink it down. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Final time, exhale, lift. We're going to hold for a little bit longer. So again, use blocks, use the wall. And just think about squeezing right hip back, left hip forwards. It's quite a deep stretch. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more breath. And exhale. Fabulous. Gently sinking all the way back down here, planting down through the palms, lifting just the left knee, and again, stepping right foot all the way back, down dog. Give a little shake. You might notice that right side feel a little bit more open compared to the left. That's cool. We're going to even that out. And here we go at the side. Ground down through the right foot. Inhale, left heel lifts, hips are square. Exhale, left knee in towards the chest, gazing forwards. Softly step the left foot forwards. Guide it there if it needs a little bit of help. Let's pop the right knee down, keeping those right toes tucked this time. And again, just work through those options. See if you can comfortably come up just with the fingertips onto the ground. Maybe you need to use the blocks. Maybe you need to use that wall again, okay? And you might notice how one side is a little bit more open compared to the other. My right side is drastically more flexible than my left. So it's just good to be aware of. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. It's just maybe something we need to focus on bringing a little bit more balance in. So from your low lunge, take a breath. Exhale, we rise, we lift the hips, back heel is lifted, micro bend in this left knee, and we're thinking about pulling left hip back, right hip forwards. Breath in. And we sink back down. Inhale. Exhale, you rise. Inhale. Sinking back down. Exhale, you rise. Inhale, sink. And exhale, rise. Inhale, sink. And exhale, rise. One more time. Inhale to sink. Exhale, rise. Hold here. So again, micro bend in the front leg. Back heel is lifted. Pull left hip back, right hip forwards. Nice long spine if we can here. Chin to shin. Breath in. Breath out. 2 more. Breath in. Breath out. And then gently come all the way back down, dropping that right knee. Okay, Plant down through both palms, just lifting the right knee. And again, let's step it all the way back, downward facing dog. Let's take a little bit longer here. In our downward facing dog, couple of breaths in, couple of breaths out, pedaling through the feet again. Okay, lovely, well done. Okay, one more inhale, one more exhale. Let's ground down through the left foot. Inhale, right heel lifts, hips square. Exhale, right knee into the chest, gaze ahead. Softly step that right foot forward. Now this time let's rise all the way up into a high lunge. So we can have a little softness in this back knee here. So we're kind of, again, activating the glutes, a little bit of strengthening there, pushing the hips forward. And reaching the fingertips straight on up. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Then all you're going to do from here is a little hop forward. So bring that left foot in, planting the left heel down. So what we were working with before in that pyramid pose where we had the back heel lifted, slightly different this time. We're going to make sure back heel is down so we're nice and grounded. If you feel like you're a bit wobbly here, just make sure you're not walking on a tightrope. Separate the feet a little bit out to the side so you've got a slightly wider base, slightly some more support, okay? Let's bring our hands towards our hips. You've got both legs long. Again, if you've got hyperextension in the knee joint, I have a lot of hyperextension here, so I have to be really careful of my knees. So if you're like me, keep that little micro bend, okay? Hands to hips and just think about pulling right hip back, left hip forward. Draw the ribs in, make sure we're not kind of dumping into the lower spine here. Standing nice and tall. Take a breath. Take an exhale. Inhale, we're going to bring left pinky finger by our left ear. And then stretch that left arm up towards the sky. As this happens, we're kind of internally rotating here. So keep pulling right hip back, left hip forward. And then maybe we can stretch that left arm away from us. So again, alternatively here, we can bring it to the wall and really kind of use the wall to help rotate right shoulder back, right hip back, left hip forward. You may be able to continue and bring that left hand to the outside of the right calf, maybe. You may be able to bring it all the way down to the outside of the right foot. But that is quite an advanced stretch here. And if you're a beginner, and I imagine if you're watching this, you've seen the title of the video, you've got tight hamstrings. So I imagine that's perhaps a little bit out of reach for us today. So perhaps the wall is a good shout. Using the wall to help get that lovely twist and really keep pressing that left heel down towards the mat. Beautiful. And we can gradually work on coming that little bit lower. So I'm just going to take a little step back here. You might need to kind of have a shuffle a couple of times to find out where feels good, but just see if you can maybe bring your spine parallel towards the ground. Maybe see how that targets that right hamstring a little bit more. Beautiful, well done. Okay, let's take a couple of breaths here. Big breath in. Big breath out. Big breath in. And a big breath out. Beautiful. Little softness in both knees now as you rise all the way back up. And just bring that left hand back towards the left hip. Okay. Still standing up nice and tall here. Take a breath. And as we exhale, we're going to see if we can find this little hip hinge again. So we're going to hinge on our hips. Start to fold over the right leg. Again, guiding chin to shin. So it doesn't matter how far we come down here. Just think about sending chin to shin. And then inhale, we drive it all the way back up. Protect your knee there. So if you really feel like there's a lot of pressure on the back of that right knee, especially as you're pushing the ground away to rise up, bend back into the knee. Okay? Let's go again. Breath in. Exhale, dive. Hips are square, so keep pulling right hip back, left hip forward. Inhale, let's rise on up. Okay, exhale, let's go. Inhale, we rise. Maybe just one more time here. Exhale. And inhale, rise. Fabulous, well done. Okay, from here, bend back into that right knee. Pop the left foot back slightly so you can lift that left heel. And again, high lunge, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, diving down. Hands come down to frame that right foot. Step it on back, down dog. Fabulous. Okay, my right side is feeling a lot more open than my left. So again, even it out. We're about to come onto the other side. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Ground down through the right foot. Inhale, left heel to the sky, hips are square. Exhale, left knee in towards the chest, gaze in between your hands. Softly step the left foot forward. Rising into our high lunge, brush the fingertips along the mat, lift the chest, lift the arms. Little softness in that back knee, remember. Back heel is lifted. Ribs are in, push the hips forwards, take a breath. Take an exhale. And then again, little hop forwards to pop that right heel down and bring the hands down towards our hips. So exactly what we did on the other side, just working it through on this side. So again, just have a little glance down, make sure you're not walking on a tightrope, separate the feet slightly. And let's take a breath. Take a breath out. Right pinky by your right ear. Then inhale, we stretch the right arm up to the sky. So we're trying to keep this right arm as close to our ear as we can. Pull the right hip forward, left hip back. So already we're coming into the twist. You might feel it from here. Take an inhale. As we exhale, we start to lean forward. Keep rolling that left shoulder back as you go. Finding your wall if you're using it. Or again, you might be using a block or you might be coming all the way down to the ground. Your choice. But just seeing if we can bring the spine parallel towards the ground. So have a little shuffle around if you need to, but rolling that left shoulder back. Lovely, well done. Little bend in that left knee should you need to. Okay. I'm going to hold here for 2 more breaths. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Keep squeezing. Right hip forward, left hip back. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Okay, looking down towards the ground, bend back into that front knee, and we can gently rise all the way back up, bring that right hand back to the hip. Okay, coming into those pyramid hip hinges. So hands to hips, keep the hips square, grounding down through the feet. Take an inhale. As you exhale, hinging out your hips, sending your chin down towards your shin, keeping that lovely long spine as you go. And then inhale, we rise up. Lovely, well done. Breath in. Exhale, we go again. Keep the hips square. So the whole time you're hinging here, still thinking about right hip forward, left hip back, rising up. Exhale, go again. Inhale, come on up. And maybe let's go just 1 more time. Exhale, coming down. And inhale, rising on up. Fabulous, well done. Little bend back into that left knee. Hop the right foot back to lift the right heel. And again, back into our high lunge. Inhale. Exhale, diving the hands down, plant them either side of the left foot, and step that left foot back, downward facing dog. Ooh, okay, let's take a breath in here. And take a breath out. Now we're going to have a little look at walking our feet towards our hands. So just taking one little step at a time. Maybe having a little play. See if we can walk heel to toe here, but that might be a little bit of a challenge. So little tiny steps. If you feel like the hands are starting to come away from the mat around about here, that's fine. You might only come about halfway down your mat and then you might need to bring your hands towards your feet rather than walking the feet all the way towards the hands. So again, do what feels better for you, and we come back into a standing forward fold. And allow yourselves to hang here. So after we've done all those kind of hip hinges, we've stretched out our hamstrings, we've stretched out the calves, just have a little notice at where you are at now. There might only be subtle differences. You might not come as far down, you might kind of rest the fingertips a little bit further down the knees here. But wherever you are, allow yourselves to hang. So we've got a little softness in the knees. We might catch hold of opposite elbows here, swaying from side to side. So we're allowing the weight of our torso to kind of guide and soften the body forward. So again, the weight comes into our toes. And we take that little bit deeper of a forward fold. Okay. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And then from here, let's release the hands down. Bend the knees, rolling up through the spine, stacking up bone by bone. Now, as we come to standing, let's press into the big toes, shift the weight forwards, and see if we can rise up onto our tiptoes here. Okay. So find a steady focal point. If you feel like you're wobbling around all over the place, feel free to just kind of hold on to a wall or a chair. You might be kind of testing your balance here, but really pressing into the big toes, activating in your glutes here, a little push of the bum forward. So we can really feel that work all the way up the legs here. Let's hold for 3, for 2, for 1. Exhale, gently control that lower back down. Fabulous. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Okay. Now from here, we're going to do the same again, but we're going to add in a little bit of a challenge here. Okay. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart, toes pointing forward. Take a breath. Exhale, shift the weight into the big toes, lift the heels, rise up high. And again, don't forget about your glutes here. Squeeze in the bum, pushing the hips forwards, breath in. Now as we exhale, let's see, whilst we're on our tiptoes, see if we can bring that little hip hinge. It's a little bit of a challenge. We might need to go a little bit slower. Take your time. If you wobble, if you fall, no worries. Keep pressing into those big toes. Go as far as you want to go. Once you've got to kind of your edge, take a breath in. Exhale, slowly release the heels down, bend the knees, come back into that hang in that forward fold. Ooh, lovely, well done. Okay, we're nearly there. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And then let's go ahead, nice deep bend in knees, and bring the sit bones all the way down towards the mat. Okay. Now, I should have said at the beginning actually, for this next couple of parts, you may want to have either a resistance band or a strap or a belt. Anything you've got to hand, a tie, belt of a dressing gown, that will work just as well. You might not need it, but it's just gonna be there should you. Okay. Let's come all the way down onto our backs. Feet hip distance apart, toes pointing straight ahead. And we want to bring those heels as close as we can towards our sit bones. My least favorite exercise in the world is coming up, but it's so good. It does its job, but I hate it. So I'm going to do this with you. Bring your arms down by your sides. Take a breath in. Now as you exhale, really think about tucking the tailbone under. Push down through your heels to peel the hips away from that, peel the pelvis away from the mat. And coming into this little bridge pose. But as you lift the hips, I want you to make sure you're leading from your pelvis rather than your lower spine. So glutes are active here. Keep pushing the glutes up to the sky. Now as you exhale, a little roll down. See if you can roll down bone by bone here. Okay. And controlling that lower as best as you can. And the glutes stay active even on that lower. So you don't just allow the glutes to relax because they're not necessarily doing the work. They still are. Keep squeezing the bum almost the entire time. Once you've come all the way down, walk the feet a little bit further away from you. And again, heels are down and towards the mat. So the toes can actually lift here if they need to. Take a breath. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, squeezing the bum. We lift it up to the sky. See if we can find this nice long line from our knees to our chest. Lead from the pelvis, breath in. Exhale again, we roll on down. Take your time. And again, as you come all the way down, we step those feet a little bit further away. So gradually, keep going for me in your own time. Gradually, the legs get longer and longer and it gets harder and harder, but those hamstrings are going to be firing. Take a breath. Exhale, roll down. We're maybe going to go twice more with this. Okay, here we go. You can see how I'm kind of gearing myself up for this as well. I hate it, but it's so good. Take a breath. Exhale, roll down. Okay, One more time. We've got this. Legs that are just that little bit bent now. So even if you find you can't really get much lift from your pelvis away from the mat, those hamstrings are still going to be doing the work. Take a breath. Exhale, here we go. Squeezing the bum. Really drive those heels down towards the mat. Inhale. Exhale, roll on down. Fabulous. Okay, from here, let's bring those knees in towards the chest. Oh, God. Why do I put these things in that I hate? Okay, so knees into the chest. Just take a moment to allow the spine to kind of decompress along your mat. So you've got that lovely long spine. Lower spine is down towards the mat, especially here. We can have a little sway from side to side. Okay. And then from here, let's bring the sole of the left foot down towards the mat. And we're going to keep hugging this right knee in. So just take hold of the back of the right thigh, or if you kind of struggle to reach here, use your strap. And what we're going to do, we're going to use our arms to control the movement of this knee. So we're going to circle the knee round and round. The leg isn't doing much work here at all. It's the arms that are controlling this movement. Okay. And we can change the direction here. Take a breath. Take an exhale. Okay. Now draw this right knee down towards the right hand side of the body. It's not directly down to the chest, it's down almost as if you're sending it towards your armpit here. You're going to bring right arm to the inside of the knee. Now this is where we might want to have our strap here. So both arms are on the inside of the knee, and you're going to send the strap to hook around the ball of the right foot. And you're just going to take hold of the strap, both ends of the strap in the right hand. And you're going to think about pushing the right foot, right heel away from you as you draw the right knee down. So the right arm is going to pull right knee down towards the side body. So if you find as you kind of pull that right knee down, you don't really need to use the strap, feel free to take hold of the outside edge of the foot, but keep the strap there, okay? We still might need it a little bit later on. And this left knee is going to act as like a little bit of a counterbalance. You can allow this left knee to roll out slightly here, just to make sure we're not kind of crashing down onto this right hand side. Let's hold for a breath here. Hold for an exhale. Let's actually maybe take one more full breath. Take an inhale. And take an exhale. Okay. Now from here, let's bring the right knee a little bit more towards the center. Right arm comes on the outside edge of the leg. Taking hold of the ends of the strap in both hands. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, start to kick that right heel away, lengthen in the leg. Now from here, I don't want you to just think about pulling the foot down using the hands. I want the foot to be really pressing into the strap. So actually my leg's a little bit shaky here because I'm pushing away so much. So this is kind of active flexibility. So we're still kind of strengthening the hamstring as it's lengthening, okay? Rather than just kind of working in a passive stretch and kind of hanging out there. This is nice and active. So pulling the foot down, but also kicking the heel away. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now release the grip of the strap, release that kind of tension, and then just take the hands to the back of the calf and just see if we can guide that foot now closer, keeping the leg straight. See if there's a little bit more range there. Okay. And then we're ready. You can repeat that a couple of times if you have the time. We're not today, but that is a good one to kind of pull back, push the foot away, and then release the tension and just see how much range is there. And then go again, pulling the foot in, kicking the heel away, release, and seeing how much range is there. So yeah, if you wanted to repeat that a couple of times, feel free to pause the video. But we're going to move on. So we're going to release the strap away from the foot, bend into the knee. Feel free to have a little shimmy, a little shake from side to side. And then just release the right foot down. We're going to change over to the other side. So left knee comes in, taking hold of the back thigh. And again, the arms are going to control this rotation of the knee here. So this left leg is doing absolutely zero effort here. Okay. Feeling a little bit of movement into that hip socket. Okay. Fabulous. And then from here, bring the left knee in towards the chest and then sending it towards the left side body. So again, as if you're sending that left knee down towards the armpit. Bring the left arm on the inside of the leg. And if you know you were quite happy without the strap on the other side, feel free to go straight into it on this side, into that half happy baby. But if you are using the strap, take a moment to get it ready. So again, arms on the inside of the leg, hooking the strap around the ball of the left foot, and then starting to draw left knee down towards the left side body, flexing into the ankle, so you're really driving that heel towards the sky. And again, right knee is acting as a little counterbalance to keep us steady here, so we're not collapsing or rolling onto the left hand side. Okay, beautiful. Let's hold here for a couple of breaths. Big breath in, big breath out. One more big breath in, and a big breath out. Fabulous, okay. Bring that left knee directly over the chest, taking hold of both ends of the strap in both hands, so the arms are framing the leg. Take an inhale. As you exhale, start to kick that left heel away and pulling the foot down at the same time. And again, there's so much force that that leg is shaky, shaky. Okay, and keep it going. Hold for a breath. Hold for an exhale. Hold for another breath. Hold for your exhale. And then same again, we can have that little release. Take the hands to the back of the calf and just see how much range of motion is there. And that knee is nice and soft, so we're not worrying about, again, pushing the back of the knee away from us. It's relatively soft, okay? And again, if you've got the time, you can repeat that a couple of times, should you wish, okay? So when we're ready, let's release the strap, bend the left knee back in towards the chest, take a couple of moments here. You might bring the right knee in also. A couple of rocks from side to side, and then we're going to do one more thing before we finish today. So you're going to take hold of the back of the thighs. Let's have a little rock and roll up. You can take a couple of those if you wish, if you enjoy it. And we're going to finish off with a little seated forward fold. Again, this is another pose that people with tight hamstrings find really challenging, and even though I find that I can fold quite easily, I was having this difficulty as well. I know how it feels. So rather than kind of having the legs straight here, best tip, similar to what we were doing in downward facing dog, is having that bend in the knee. So again, you're protecting those hamstrings as you lengthen. And that's also going to encourage us to get belly to thighs rather than this rounded spine. So maybe let's just have a check, similar to what we did in our standing forward fold, where you were. So just coming into your forward fold, how you would, okay, and just seeing where you're at, seeing how far the fingertips come towards the heels, maybe, how your spine is. We might be quite rounded here. We might be kind of stretching for the toes, and just seeing where you're at, okay. Now, if this is you, if you're kind of really curved in the spine, you're kind of stretching for your toes, almost kind of like as you're folding forwards, you're also leaning back. I want you to think about leading with the heart, lifting the chin, sending the chin towards the sky, heart comes forward, spine lengthens, and see if there's a little bit more space here. So I'll show you that again. If we're here, think about leading with the chin, lead the heart forward, lengthen the spine, okay? We can still do that with bent legs as well. So we can bend the knees, dig the heels down and towards the mat. And again, we're rounded through the spine. We lengthen, belly to thighs, and we can come a little bit further. And you might still feel that stretch here, okay? And then over time, if we're really focusing on kind of getting that belly to the thighs, we might be able to take hold of the toes here. Over time, we might be able to slide those heels away, but keeping that close proximity between your belly and your thighs. This is one of my favorite ways to come into a seated forward fold, because quite often you're also getting that nice stretch across through the back of the shoulder blades as well, and that nice release for your lower spine. So yeah, wherever you are at, in your seated forward fold. Take a couple more breaths, bellies to thighs, chin to shins. Rather than thinking about head to knee, send the chin forward. Okay, one more big breath in. One more big breath out. Okay, now from here, let's rise it all the way back up, lengthen the legs. And another thing in seated forward fold we can do with the legs straight, again, having that little softness through the back of the knees, is to bring back this strap. And again, this is how we can take a more active stretch than a passive stretch. So the one we just did was a fairly passive stretch. This one's a little bit more active. So lengthen the legs, toes pointing up to the sky, heels down towards the mat. So a good way to check to see whether you've got hyperextension in the knees is just to push the back of the knees down in towards the mat and see if your heels lift. If the heels lift, there's a little bit of hyperextension there. So again, need to be aware of that and keep that softness there. Okay. So let's take a big inhale, send the strap up to the sky, grow tall. And as we exhale, hip hinge. Our favorite hip hinge, our favorite thing of today's class. We hinge at the hips and we fold forward and seeing if we can hook the strap around the balls of the feet. And again, if you can't quite reach and loop the strap around here, bring back a bend in the knees. We can still do this here, okay? But once you've got the strap around the soles of the feet, actively pulling using your arms and hugging those elbows in, guiding chest further down towards your shins. Fabulous. Okay, let's hold here. Deep breath. Big inhale. Big exhale. One more inhale. And one more exhale. And then same way to come out. We release the strap, stretch forwards, reach up, inhale. And exhale, we can release and we can soften down. Beautiful, well done everyone. Okay, so we can place the strap to one side, and that is the end of that little hamstring mobility session. So I do hope that was helpful for you. I hope that it's helped you kind of understand why the hamstrings might be tighter and given you some useful exercises to kind of maybe bring into your own practice or just kind of incorporate in your warm-up before a run or after a run maybe. Yeah, I just hope it's useful to you. So if it is, please leave me a little like, a little comment maybe, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week with another free class from me. See you then. Mwah.